I am with Echota. She has an inspirational medical medium healing story. I've been kind of watching her journey over the past couple years, and I am so excited to touch base with her and hear a little more about her story. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So when did your medical medium journey begin? What made you pick up that first book?
Holy moly. Okay. It began June of 2016. And I had, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. I had been descending into deeper and deeper chronic illness for about 5 years, but really kind of probably for my whole life. But knowingly, like really losing function and really losing capacity to do anything or to function at all for about 5 years. And it had gotten to a point of just, I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't walk. I couldn't shower. I mean, I did shower like once a week, but it took everything out of me. It took everything I had. And I just had like really severe chronic fatigue. I was going to doctor after doctor, collecting. I've really started to feel like I'm a collector of diagnoses. And
I had the same thing. I had a binder this thick of papers.
Yes.
I would carry around of like, can somebody make sense out of all this?
Yes, I have 2 of those. I have one.
I want to burn it. Like I
one
really
for me. I have one for me, or I had one for me and one for the doctors. And yeah, my bigger one is like, it was so thick and loaded with, the one for the doctors was only this thick. So, but it was loaded with like test results and history and diagnoses and other doctors I had been to and yada, 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 just all that stuff. And I had all these specialists and I had like a big team and it was all organized and tabbed and all that stuff, but just for my own self, for my own brain. But I had done a ton of research on my conditions and symptoms. Every time I got a new diagnosis, I would just throw myself into research. And then I was also just researching outside of that, like going through medical papers and medical books and, and the most cutting edge, supposedly research and all this stuff and just reading constantly when I could, because I had severe brain fog.
Speaks volumes to this information too, because I did the same thing. I studied with some of the best doctors. I, got into the research and really looked at what is causing the symptoms. And this is, it's a prime example of what people are really experiencing and the results they're getting from all of this research. I mean, we kind of know the truth around that now. So what symptoms have you healed? And even if it's not completely healed, what are some things that have improved for you? Obviously you're moving around and you look like $1 million. So.
Yeah, I honestly, the last count, I'm not even kidding. I feel like people aren't going to believe me when I say this, but I did videos about it to say like the last count, the number of symptoms and conditions I had healed was like 115 and count like more.
So tell people, let me just stop you for a second. Give people your Instagram name so they can go back and look at those videos too.
Oh, okay. It's at Echota is Healing, and my YouTube channel is also Echota is Healing. ECHOTA.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll say the main ones because if I try to list them all, we'll be here for the rest of the day. My main things were my fibromyalgia, my mast cell activation disorder, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, dysautonomia POTS. I had SIBO, migraines, systemic exertion intolerance disorder, chronic fatigue syndrome, hypothyroid.
Oh my goodness.
Whew, it's just the list. It's a big list. And I was
things. These are big things. These are like each one of these things impacts your life on a huge scale, and you've got a whole bowl of them.
Yeah, I mean the mast cell activation disorder. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go out of my house. I reacted to everything. I was like allergic to the world. And so I had to wear a mask even to just go in my own car. And what everyone else is doing with masks now, I'm like,
oh, I got this thing.
I'm doing that. But I couldn't even go in my own car without a mask. I would react to everything. So I couldn't go anywhere. And then because of that, I had severe anxiety. I had PTSD. I lost a child years ago in 2003. So, I have severe PTSD from that, but I developed medical PTSD on top of it. On top of my already complex PTSD, I developed medical PTSD just going through the medical system trying to get a diagnosis. So, and then I just got like really severe anxiety, and I had, depression off and on from the time I was 14, but I had like severe depression going through chronic illness. I didn't want to be alive because I had no quality of life. And then I, was watching the people around me with my same diagnoses descending into like not being able to eat any foods at all. I had lost a bunch of foods that I could eat. I had tried every diet. Anthony did that live yesterday, and you know how he named all the different, I was like, I did all of that. I did every single one of those and more.
Yeah, I did too, most of them. So
Yeah.
crazy.
I think a lot of us have that story, but I was just like, yep, 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 yep. Like he's just going down my checklist. I'm like, yep, there's a few you didn't name. I did them all. I tried all of them. And that was even before like I lost function. Like I was already on that road of just trying to find health and wellness, and because I always kind of just didn't feel great in my body. And so
But some piece of you knew you could heal. Some piece of you knew that your body could recuperate. Obviously.
I knew there had to be an answer, and honestly, I knew it had to be natural. I knew it had to be. I always felt like it was in food, but I couldn't find the right combination of foods because
Most constant thing that we put in our bodies, how many times a day? Yet some medical doctors and people out there will say food has nothing to do with your health. I mean, we're putting it in constantly. How can it not have an impact on our health? It's
exactly.
people that have major diagnosis and you suggest like maybe you should change your diet, and they're like, what? No, I'll just take this pill. It has nothing to do with it, but it does. It absolutely obviously does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I even think like I even did raw for like a year, but I didn't know this at the time. I was doing high fat raw. Yeah.
Because that's the
I
way.
put like spoonfuls of like coconut oil and almond butter in my smoothies because that was what was the prevailing knowledge was like, oh
too.
no, it prevents the fruit from being absorbed too fast.
Yes.
So that you don't have like blood sugar spikes and hypoglycemia.
You need fat and all of that stuff. Yeah, I did it. And talk about anxiety. That's when my anxiety got really bad, really bad.
Yeah.
So what was the first sign? What was the first thing that you noticed? I always tell my story, and it had to do with sleep. I wasn't sleeping when I was so chronically in a state of fight or flight. And I started to notice in the beginning of starting this that I started to sleep, and I was like, oh, there's something to this. So what was your first sign that, okay, this isn't another fad, something good is happening here?
Well, I found the book. I always kind of had at the back of my mind, like, maybe go back to raw because you did feel good when you ate raw. And at that time, I was eating, let's see, where was I at that point in my, I was low FODMAPs, autoimmune paleo.
Okay.
So, I'm so sorry. So I was eating
meat and vegetables, basically.
Yeah, and fat, extra fat, and meat and vegetables, like coconut oil, right? Vegetables, and meat. Yeah.
And no fruit, right?
No fruit. You weren't supposed to eat fruit. I will say this. Every now and again, though, I never could give up bananas. Every now and again, like that's the worst one, right? Because the highest.
And then you feel like this. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't eat a banana. Like it's really bad for my health.
And I'm like, yay, intuition. It kept me with the bananas, but now I know. But like then I was like, oh, I'm so bad. I just can't not eat like bananas. I was just every now and again I would just have a banana because I couldn't not.
Because your body wants that sugar, that's that your body needs the glucose.
Now I know it probably is the only thing that kept me alive, really, because of all that stuff I was putting in my body. But okay, so I found the book. I think I watched or listened to or something like a Hay House Summit. I'm not sure. I had so much brain fog. And I listened to like a Hay House Summit, and I thought, this guy, I'm going to read his book. Like he's on to something. I don't know what, but like it sounded right. And I don't remember pre-ordering the book. I honestly don't. But I know I wanted to. I don't remember doing it, but one day I had like a clearing in my brain fog enough that I could read And I was like, I'm going to go read a book on my Kindle. I opened up my Kindle and it was on there. And I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to read that. So, so I read the medical medium book, and as I was reading it, it just all clicked. It was just like, this is it. Like this is. I just felt a palpable like paradigm shift as I was reading it. Like this is the answer. I got to do this, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. And so I was already accustomed to giving myself permission just, not to be perfect at anything, but then just to try whatever I thought I could do because chronic illness, like I couldn't do anything anyway. So I just said, I'm just going to try and see. The one thing I could do during the day that I had enough energy to stand for, because I also had like severe chronic pain. I forgot to mention that. How could I forget? I had over 20 years of severe chronic pain, severe back pain. And there's a lot of stuff I'll forget to mention, like the fact that I was in a wheelchair. I don't think I said that.
But at least everyone can go back to your YouTube now and listen to your videos, because I saw quite a few of them myself, and I was like, wow, you have a story.
I do.
Yeah.
So, so I could stand for like 5 minutes a day and make myself a smoothie. It was like the one thing I could do, and I was doing that, and I probably wasn't low FOD. Anyway, whatever. I was doing that. I think I had already kind of was like, I should get back to raw. I don't remember. Anyway, and I thought, well, maybe I can make this celery juice. And we didn't have a juicer at the time. We just had the Vitamix. And so I was like, maybe I can do this. So I blended it up in the Vitamix and strained it through a nut milk bag. And I was able to make the celery juice. So I was like, I don't know how much of this cleanse I'm going to be able to do, but I'll just do what I can. So I thought, I'll just do the celery juice. I'd probably only be able to do that. And so I drank the celery juice, and I honestly, I'm not lying when I say this. I don't know how to explain this. And I've heard a couple other people say it too, but I felt the cells in my body come to life when I drank that celery juice for the first time.
You go from that high fat, all of the animal products and all of that stuff, and then you put that in your body is like, thank you.
Yes, this is what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, it was crazy because it wasn't like a caffeinated, buzzy feeling or anything like that. It was just like life. It was like having a little bit of gas in the gas tank that had been empty for so long. And I was like, holy moly. And then I had enough energy. And remember, I had chronic fatigue. Like all I could do was sit on the sofa all day long. So I had enough energy then to make my smoothie in the morning. And so I made a smoothie. And then I still had enough energy to make a salad that day for my lunch. So I made a salad, which is kind of a big deal, chopping and all that stuff. Like that's standing for like a few minutes, 10 maybe. That's a long time for somebody who can't stand.
Yeah.
But I was stunned. I was stunned by that. And I was like, what is happening? And I couldn't believe it because it had been, I mean, like the descent lasted like 5 years, but like I had no energy. Like I had no gas in the tank. I remember the first time I sort of realized it, we were at we had gone to play mini golf, and I was able to stand up for the mini golf. It wasn't a very long golf course. It was like short, and I was able to stand up for that. But I got about part way to the parking lot, which was only like 50 feet away from the front door, and I couldn't move another step. I stopped right where I was, and I was like, I can't go any further. And my husband's like, okay, I'll get the car. So he brought the car to me. I was just out of gas. Like I just had nothing. I was just like, I can't move. And it freaked me out because I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening to me? That had never happened before. Like there's fatigue, but then there's just like literally a car out of gas. That's what I felt like. Like I could not force myself to go further. And yeah, so that's the first time that happened. And then it was just kind of consistent after that. Like occasionally I would get enough energy to do like a tiny thing, but then I would be exhausted and it would wear me out. And because of the systemic exertion intolerance disorder, like any kind of exercise, which even included just standing up and walking across the house, would just wipe me out. So that first day that happened, I was like, I cannot believe this. And then when it happened 3 days in a row consistently, I was like, I have to document this. This is insane. I'm not going to remember. Symptoms are leaving and I am getting better and I'm going to forget. So I started blogging it because I was just like, what is going on? This is crazy.
Amazing. That your story is incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. And I know there's so much more to it, but I just wanted you to get the message out to people that like these are these huge things that I have healed. I mean, it's just incredible. And I hear these stories all the time, but I feel like it's still always so impactful just to hear someone say, I was in a wheelchair and now look at me. I'm moving around and I have energy and all of that. So talk about the spiritual emotional side a little bit. I know that these books are different from a regular medical text that you read. There's so much involved with the food and the supplements and all of that. How did it change you spiritually, mentally, emotionally?
Oh my gosh. I honestly don't even know how to talk about that.
No.
I keep wanting to, but I'm just like, for my own, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. But I, I, oh my gosh, it really has though. Like, okay, you can go with emotionally. I can start there
Yeah.
because the depression lifted within months, and I was like, what? I have never lived without this. It had always been off and on for years, and there were periods where it would ease, and I could, like
Function.
I could function, yeah. But it had never just lifted. It was always like it can come back. It was always like in the background, like I can get you anytime. And but it was like that. It just lifted, and then the anxiety has gotten a lot. That got a lot better, and the PTSD has healed a lot. I don't know if it's healed 100%, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's healed
It's
so
hard
much,
for
and
people PTSD. Just we're just living
yeah,
a lot of stuff.
yeah, it's it's such a big deal to like not be at the mercy of it anymore. And so emotionally, for sure, like a lot of that stuff. But it's also my intuition has opened up, and I always had a strong intuition, but I didn't always know when my intuition was talking versus if it was just like my wishful thinking or something else. Like I have been able to discern that a lot more, and then be more solid and secure in when it is my intuition, and learn, oh my god, so many things.
Love
I
it. Love
gotta,
that.
and
Yes. So
opening, like I feel like my heart has opened up to, I mean, like talking to the angels every day really, it built my trust. It healed my soul. I mean, my soul is healing. I feel like there's kind of always healing to do for your soul, but like my soul is healing on just profound levels, and um, building my faith in ways that I never expected, like
yeah.
never ever expected. And I've had people say to me, like when they watch my videos or something, and they'll say like, you have so much faith, and just in like that I can heal and everything. Like, but um, they're like, I wish I had that kind of faith. And I'm like, I used to wish that too. I
Yes.
really
Too.
did.
Me too. Me
I
too.
used
I
to be
think
so,
part of it is the life-changing foods. So it explains how each food has a spiritual component. For me, that was a huge. So you're eating foods and appreciating them for more than just fuel for your body. That how they're
yeah.
impacting you literally emotionally too. That was to me so eye-opening. It was like a gift, right? I
It
mean,
was, and so
yeah.
powerful. Yeah, and the angels, and in the first book and in that book, and in the liver rescue, like in the successive books as well. But just it all made such a difference talking to the angels every day. I felt so weird at first, even though I kind of believed in angels. I kind of always thought I had a guardian angel because it was the only way I could explain how I lived through my teenage years. I made a lot of reckless choices with people that I didn't necessarily know well enough to make those choices with. So And I got myself into some situations where I'm like, how did I live through? How did I not die? What? Uh, so I always thought, I always joked, like, I must have a guardian angel because I don't know how else I survived that. And, but then, like, actually talking out loud to them, that was such a new concept to me. And so I felt so strange, but I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter how I feel. I'm alone in my bedroom. It's like, it doesn't matter. So I just did it. And then it just did it over time and doing the sunset trust meditation and the other just
Those meditations were huge for me too.
so powerful.
I said that before, but during that period of time when I was not well, I remember, people would say, why don't you meditate? And that whole, you can't meditate when you're like that. You cannot. You just can't.
No.
So those meditations where it was like, okay, I'm just going to ground myself and be part of nature, kind of made you believe, nature heals, nature goes through cycles. I go through things and I'm going to heal too. It's like that the connection.
And it was stuff that I already was doing, and I like didn't know, like I didn't know that listening to the birds was so healing for your soul, and I didn't know that like watching I knew because I loved it. I always felt so good when I listened to the birds, but knowing with intention, it's just like,
intention.
This is why, this is why I connect with this so much. And the bees, I used to be a beekeeper until my allergist said, don't do that. You're allergic to bees. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
But I love bees. I love bees more than I want to stay alive. At that time was totally true. But just like being with the bees and watching the bees was had always been like so meditative for me and so powerful. And then to learn through his books that like actually was a powerful meditation. I was just like, I connected with every single meditation. I was like, yes, the moon. I love staring at the moon. I stare at the sky all the time.
Me too. So for the people that are just starting, for the people that, are kind of in a place where they're not sure yet if this is going to be life-changing or another fad, maybe they read the book, maybe they haven't. What do you want them to know from your journey? Like, just give them a couple lines.
You can heal. You can heal. I know that your trust has been broken, and I know that you have tried everything and you've been down so many roads and you've been burned so many times, but you can heal when you have the truth about how your body works and what you can do to heal illnesses, like how illnesses work in your body, how we get sick, how these toxins work and these pathogens, and what foods heal us and what foods harm us. When you have the truth, the real truth, and not somebody's made up something that, they're being funded, like bankrolled for, but the actual truth, you can heal. And it takes persistence and it takes consistency and it takes perseverance because it takes time. When I say that it impacted me in the first 3 days, that doesn't mean I got up out of my wheelchair in 3 days.
Yes.
That means that, that took like a year and a half to like fully be out of the wheelchair all the time.
That's a huge point because there are people that have come into the community recently that, they try this for a couple days, 10 days, 15 days, and then they say like, oh, my acne isn't gone, or oh, that my autoimmune condition isn't gone, or whatever it may be. And that's why I always ask that question. What was the first sign that you were on the right page? But yes, it took time. Major symptoms, may have healed either quicker for some people, more slowly for others, it's, but not everything heals at once. It doesn't all heal in 30 days. So I think
I don't think, and that's the thing is, I think we're conditioned to believe that if our symptoms don't go away immediately, because we're conditioned to take the pill, and if the pill doesn't, suppress your symptoms within a week or 10 days or 30 days, then we try something else. But no, this is real healing, and it takes time. You took a lifetime to get to the place where you are. Like, it took me a lifetime. It took me 44 years to become as completely non-functional as I was. So I kind of always had in my mind that it was going to take me some years to heal, because I was like, it wouldn't not, because it took me 44 years to get this sick. to get to non-functioning. So it's going to take me some time to like clear that stuff out.
Don't believe that. They think like, okay, I did it for a couple days or a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And somehow all of those viruses and all of those toxins are supposed to go out faster than they came in. And obviously, you know, it takes time. So I think it's a huge point to let people know that, you know, it does take time. It's not easy, but it's doable. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's conditioning. You can unlearn conditioning. You can learn the truth and unlearn conditioning. And I mean, I get how people are conditioned to think that it makes sense, but it's not the truth. Like the truth is it takes us time to heal. And yeah, some symptoms and conditions heal faster than others. Others are like really deep seated. And I found too that it's almost like an onion, like peeling an onion. So one layer will heal and then it gives that layer's gone, but then something else kind of comes to the surface and it's ready to
experience that as well.
Yeah. So
you are incredible.
Worth it. It's so worth it.
It's so worth it. It is. Your journey is amazing. You are an incredible woman. I really thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with everyone. And I hope everyone heads to your YouTube and listens to the rest of your videos.
Aw.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
It was fun.